work, hard work, hard work, hard work, hard work, work. There you go.
Forward!
Hard work, hard work, hard work, hard work, hard work, work. There you go.
Forward!
Hard work, hard work, hard work, hard work, hard work, work. There you go.
Forward!
Hard work, hard work, hard work.
Fall in.
Hey, good morning, good morning, good morning. Y'all know what it is. I happy Martin Luther King Day to y'all that's out celebrating and engaging, hitting up parades and celebrations, checking out different things today. And of course, as we pay homage to the man that did, civil rights legend Martin Luther King Jr., did everything that he could to unite people across the board. So it's a beautiful day. Won't be here long. Just wanted to come on and have a little conversation about some of the things. It was crazy come yesterday when you talk about the NFL. You still got stuff in reference to the NBA going down. So let's get into it. Good morning to everyone out there. As you know, it's E2G Sports Network presents First Formation Morning Sports Talk. Come on and fall in with your favorite vets on the net as we get it in reference to what popped off yesterday. So first and foremost, let's talk about this. I'll start with the NBA because that NFL talk might actually carry me longer than I want to. But we'll get into this. Of course, a slate of 6 games yesterday, last night in the NBA. Uh, some controversies yet, of course. In any case, some upsets, maybe if you take it as such. But in any case, a few things went down. What we got? Hold up 1 second. First and foremost, um, this Thunder. Well, hold up. That's not it. Let me go back. It was actually more than 6 games last night. Computer's moving kind of slow. I know exactly why it's moving slow. Got a lot going on over here. Uh, so it was a slate of 10 games last night in the NBA and the National Basketball Association. Oh, actually, let me in general, as the Fort Hood Fountain Warriors held a Martin Luther King basketball game in which I know right now there should be a game attack. If not, I will set that up and put that on by the time the end of the this broadcast. You should be able to check out our First Formation Facebook page where we should or might have that where it is being streamed. Of course, in Mayport, there's a basketball tournament going on where I believe the uh, Fort Gordon military basketball team, I believe, is in the championship. I didn't get a chance to look and see who they would potentially be facing. But I know right now, actually, Fort Hood is playing this morning against the Air Force, against an Air Force team. So I guess you could say successful tournaments going on. Of course, by the day, this afternoon, someone will be crowned a champion. What's good, Mike? What's going on, fam? How you doing this morning, brother? Happy Monday to you too, man. Glad to see you rocking with this formation this morning. Uh, so of course, I'm very sure a lot of people are out, taking part in parades and stuff like that. While I'm sitting here, engaging with y'all for this time frame this morning. Well, everyone has their role, but of course, if you feel like you want to get up and go and get out there to your local Martin Luther King Day parade hey, I'm all for it. Getting it. But in case, like I was saying, shout out to those men and women playing in a military, any military basketball tournament this weekend, as that is like a staple in military sports. Usually there is a Martin Luther King Day tournament, whether it's to start the season off or however it's done. So I applaud that. I want to see what I can do to get into the fray for next year. But of course, like I said, there's a slate of 8 games over the course of Sunday, yesterday, that pitted some of the teams against one another. A few upsets, some things that wasn't expected, of course. Um, it's all first with the New York Pistons and the Detroit, the New York Knicks and Detroit Pistons, in which put the home team, the Detroit Pistons, in the 13-point loss, losing 117 to 104. With that loss, the Pistons dropped to 12-35 on the season. The New York Knicks 25-19 in their exploits. Julius Randle led the squad's 42 points, 15 rebounds, 4 assists on the night. What's good, Anthony? Glad to see you information this morning, brother. How are you doing? Hope everything's going well for you. How was your weekend? Um, 27 points, 5 rebounds, 4 assists from Jalen Brunson. Quentin Grimes, 11 points, 3 assists, 4 rebounds, 17 points, 3 rebounds, 3 assists. Emmanuel Quickly, 13 points from R.J. Barrett. Mitchell Robinson, 4 points on the day, 12 rebounds. What's good, Commissioner Myers? Glad to see you information, sir. I was just talking about how things are popping off in Mayport, Fort Gordon on the scene. Uh, What's good, Con man? How you doing this morning, brother? Glad to see you, formation. Uh, where was I? Oh, Mitchell Robinson, 4 points, 12 rebounds on the night. 3 rebounds, 5 assists. Correction, 3 points, 5 rebounds for Myers Harson. For the Pistons, they were led 2 players in double figures, 21 points apiece, 6 rebounds apiece. Sadiq Bey, 21.6 rebounds, 1 assist. Jaden Ivey, 21.6 rebounds, 6 assists. 14.3 rebounds, 2 assists from Alec Burke. 16 points, 1 rebound from Kevin Knox. 9 points, 9 assists, and 2 rebounds, including Hayes. Isaiah Livers, 11.6 rebounds, 3 assists. Of course, it wasn't enough as the Knicks pull out the victory, 117 to 112. Correction, 104. Yes, they do. I was seeing that, Commissioner Myers, and they got that swagger where they talk that talk as well. Uh, so Glit is always, I guess, I would assume it's a great thing to always have some new blood come onto the scene and enact. Well, probably not new blood, but just new or back for the back again to show what's going on. I hear you, Mike Con man. I hear you. I hear you. In other games yesterday, of course, like I said, it's 1 day down, 7 more to go. Let's get to this next one with the Houston Rockets. As we know, currently the Rockets are very short-handed. They can get any better as Saturday, John Wall suffered a adductor strain that puts them even further down. Already you're out without Luke Kennard, Michael Moore Sr., um, and Paul Wall. I'm sorry, not Paul Wall. I'm serious. I'm tripping. I'm on some other stuff. Paul George, and they go down with Con Wall. Yeah, it's that's just what it is. I don't know why is it that way, Con man, for the all the scoring, the huge output of scoring bursts from you never know. You know what? I stand corrected. I was looking at a documentary the other day. Not even documentary. What I was doing is I was looking at uh Quentin Richardson's and Darius Miles Knuckleheads podcast on I Am Athlete. And of course, whenever they come onto the show, the first thing which they ask is who bust your ass to their guests. And so one thing, a couple of people would not admit to their ass getting busted or someone giving them the business when they first came into the league, their first games. Of course, there was some that basically um, did admit and show. And one of the things that came up is they always talked about is the NBA is a league to where it don't matter who you are, you can get done up. It doesn't make a difference. So the expectation is for someone to sit up and get cleaned up during that time frame. It's just what I'm saying, you're basically looking at 450 active players at that time that are professionals. Like they're supposed to be the elite of the elite when it comes to, of course, the United States game for the most part. And they talked about that. How so when you look at the output that is going on, it's like maybe it isn't the simple fact of it's maybe what we're not accustomed to. But now we're having a situation where some people are just getting off, and no matter what, players is just putting it in the bucket, and it's going down like that and it's a complete output of scoring. Like you look at even the Rockets, even in their losing ways, putting up 100 points a game, just being outscored in the particular game. What you're talking about, the Clippers beat them 121 to 100. So what I'm saying, putting up over 100 points a game is just getting outscored. So it's crazy that explosion of what you talk about, but according to the guys who we've spoken to, a great deal of them talked about how it's saying everyone has their day. Vucevic has been a scorer. You know what I'm saying? Uh, and Harrison, but like all of them had the ability to score. So it's not the first time in which we've heard about Vucevic putting up points or Harrison Barnes putting up points. It may not be as often as such, but they've done it before, and which is crazy because Vucevic, like the other day, I think about who would be some other big men if there was a Worlds game, and I completely forgot about players like Vucevic. I completely forgot about players like the Valanciunas. Like there's some bigs that can go. And when it comes to the world games, like a world, other worlds, so definitely one of those things. Back to Commissioner Myers talking about Gordon's success. Hopefully, they will get support from the base. Yeah, I live that story around here all day, every day. Although there is some movement as far as when it comes to Fort Polk. Um, but yes, Commissioner Myers' crew, anyone could get done up in this game in the NBA. Even if people don't know, even talking about like we just talking about, like I said, talk about the knuckleheads, and they was going on. It was even some times to where it was people who no one would have thought of would have been someone that stood up and done them in. They're all professional players, and that's like something I, for the most part, try to keep at the forefront of my mind. That's that talk from the NCO Creed for y'all that don't know. But I try to keep that at the forefront of my mind because yet, saying, we sit here and talk and analyze the game and talk about this, and sometimes we tend to say stuff like, "Oh, this dude is trash," yada yada yada. Real talk, they're a professional, and we are sitting here talking. Some of us may or may not have played or whatever case like that, or played with these cats, or played that type of level in the sport. But if not, saying, it's just a matter of we have an ideal of what it is because there's some way, in the form or fashion, we have contributed or played the game. Whether it's saying from an intramural standpoint, above intramural standpoint, a college perspective, semi-pro perspective, a lower tier pro perspective, you have some people that engage in that. So they, they believe they know, have a little insight to what it's talking about. Or people just analyze and look at the game because they may have coached, played, all that type of stuff. That's a love, a student of the game. But in state is those people are contributing, they're getting paid for it. And that's what it is. So I try to keep in my mindset that, okay, saying, before you sit here and say someone's trash, keep in mind this cat's a professional. Correct. I completely agree with you, Commissioner Myers. Say people talk about someone's trash. Cats is averaging like you that 10 points, 4 rebounds. That's saying when you consistently play amongst players that are even one better than you, you're better than them, or y'all equal. That's impressive. Over the course of a certain time frame to sit up and do it. And some of these cats do it at the even just unload the clip with points. So that's saying, keep it in perspective. That's all. That's my whole thing. 2023. I'm keeping it in perspective. Um, but getting back to let's talk about this game real quick. We go off on soliloquies every so often here, all in good faith content. But like we were just saying, Rockets, the Clippers, um, Clippers shorthanded. They expect they're going to be without John Wall for at least 2 weeks because he's out with the abductor strain. So now all they do is have a Kawhi. And when you sit, if you've been paying attention, Kawhi will sit up and take a chill. We're gonna chill out on the bench if need be. Um, in which basically the um, the Clippers. I mean, yes, the Clippers. I'll start there. The Clippers, led by Kawhi Leonard, as I mentioned before, 30.6 rebounds, 4 assists, 31.6 rebounds, 4 assists from Terrence Mann. Another one, which you talk about, who he's overshadowed by all these players on his team, but he can go get it. Terrence Mann, just 31 points, 18 points, 4 rebounds, 3 assists for Norman Powell. Robert Covington, 8 points, 5 rebounds, 1 assist. 5 points apiece from Brandon Bosch Jr. and Moses Brown. Nicholas Batum, 5 points, 5 rebounds, 3 assists. Ivica Zubac, 10 points, 5 rebounds. Amir Coffey, 5 points, 2 rebounds, 1 assist. The Reggie Jackson, 4 points, 2 rebounds, and 5 assists on the night. In their victory, of course, the Rockets in the losing effort, led by Kenyon Martin Jr.'s 22 points, 9 rebounds, 2 assists. Veteran 24.3 rebound, 2 assists getting Eric Gordon pull up. 15 points, 8 rebounds, 6 assists from Alperen Seguin. Jabari Smith, 12 points, 5 rebounds, 2 assists, 11 points, 4 rebounds, 2 assists from Tari Eason, in which him and his counterpart, were suspended 1 game due to a frequency that they had against the Sacramento Kings on I think Friday or Thursday. So Tari Eason, as well as which one was it? Kevin Porter Jr. I believe, or Jalen Green were banned for 1 game from leaving the bench during that game, in which it was between Matthews, I believe. Let me make sure I get the right names. Uh, 1 second. Make sure I pull up the right one. So make sure I give you the correct information. Oh, Jalen Green and Jashawn Tate. I'm sorry. So I wonder why Tari Eason was there. So between Jalen Green and Jalen Green and Tashawn Tate were both suspended from after a game in which they was fined. Matthews fined $35,000 for initiating the altercation. Tari Heason was fined $30,000. That's why I knew I had seen something about his name. He was fined $30,000 for escalating the situation. Malik Monk was fined $25,000 for continuing the altercation and taunting with him and Matthews going back and forth. And then, of course, Jalen Green and Jashawn Tate both were ejected for yesterday's game as they left the bench, which all we know is a no-go in the NBA. You cannot leave from your bench area if you are a player. And it went down. So they were shorthanded, in which it basically caused was not in good taste or good timing, because the Clippers were definitely shorthanded, as they didn't have enough players. I mean, they had enough players, but they had key players missing. As I say, Luke Kennard, Marcus Morris Sr., Paul George is still out from a hamstring. Now John Wall is currently out with an abdominal injury that he suffered versus the Nets. But in case, they came at the right time, I guess, on their schedule, in which they was able to knock off Houston again with the 121-100 win. Going back to what Commissioner Myers was saying, you're not trash if you play in the NBA. Must be bringing up Kwame Brown. People think it's trash, but he impressed someone to play enough. True that. Facts. Um, um, make the NBA correct with the comment with the statistics. Um, so I think we talked about this a little bit last week, Mike. So if there is, I think there's clearly under wraps. But I think there's going to be probably be a play of significance, a trade of significance. But it's probably now a trade of significance doesn't necessarily mean it's a big, huge blockbuster trade. It just means, in my opinion, that it was a significant trade that changed the tables for the team or teams involved at this point. Or it could be someone looking to get to uh, afford to their tanking ability, and with that, downgrade their team so that way they have a better opportunity of getting into a higher draft pick possibility on draft night. However it goes, or however they're doing it, but I really don't think there's going to be a blockbuster trade at this point. But I do think there's going to be maybe a trade of significance somewhere where someone just saying a little something helps out in a big way. Um, so that's why I think. Of course, now that might happen, Anthony. We might see a trade where where it might be some head shaking trades. Like, why did they do that? What are they doing that for? We on that part, I'm not sure, but I do think there's going to be a trade. I don't think we're going to go through the trade deadline without a single trade. I'm very sure someone's going to get moved at some point. Who else we had last night? Let's go here. Where Conman was just talking about scoring output as the Golden State Warriors on their road trip play against the Chicago Bulls, in which Conman was just talking about where he talked about the output from center Nikola Vucevic is 43 points, 13 rebounds, and 4 assists, 27 points, 9 rebounds, 2 assists from Zach LaVine, 15 points, 3 rebounds, 1 assist from Kobe White, 10 points, 2 rebounds, 2 assists. Patrick Williams, Alex Caruso contributed with 12 points, 9 rebounds, and 7 assists. Derrick Jones, 7 points, 1 rebound, 3 assists for the Chicago Bulls. On the other side of the spectrum, the Golden State Warriors, led by Klay Thompson's 26 points, 4 rebounds, 4 assists, 20 points, 10 rebounds, and 4 assists from Steph Curry, 15 points, 2 rebounds, 3 assists. Jordan Poole, Anthony Lamb contributed 14 points, 4 rebounds, 2 assists, 11 points from Andrew Wiggins, 9 points, 6 rebounds, and 1 assist from Kevin Looney. Dante DiVincenzo contributed with 9 points, 4 rebounds, and 5 assists, all in the losing effort as the Chicago Bulls take care of business on their home floor at the score 132-118. That win improves them to 20-24, 4 games below 500. For the Golden State Warriors, it puts them in just a game below 500 as they fall to 21-22 on the year with their loss. In other games, another game with huge output. Sacramento Kings face off against San Antonio Spurs in San Antonio. Just in case y'all missed it, over the weekend, San Antonio has now set the record for the most people in attendance to a regular season NBA game with 68,323 people, I believe it was, or 68,333 people. In any case, it was well over 68,300 people in attendance from the San Antonio Spurs game as it played the Golden State Warriors over the weekend. Of course, as we talked about before, the top record for any NBA game played was an All-Star game that was played with over 100,000 people were attendance um, in Dallas. So, but now for a regular season game, the San Antonio's hold that record. Impressive feat. In any case, in which the Spurs were the home team, they played close. They was they really was, but some of it was standing room only, of course, because which was interesting because I thought it was only a capacity of 68,000 when it came to standing room only, but evidently over 332 plus seats after that, it was more than that. But they made it happen. They broke the record. They know how now hold the record for the most people to attend a NBA game. Uh, But I wonder how many was at this game, particularly as they was the home squad hosting the Sacramento Kings, um, in which the Spurs were led by Jakob Pottles, 23.7 rebounds, 2 assists. Kendall Johnson, 20.7 rebounds, 3 assists, 21 points, one rebound, 4 assists from Josh Richardson. 16 points, 7 rebounds, 8 assists from Trey Jones, 15 points, 8 rebounds, 2 assists from Jeremy Socon. Other players contribute: Malik Brown and Blake Wesley, 5 points apiece, 7 points from Zach Collins, 4 points from Stanley Johnson, and 3 points from Romeo Langford for the Kings. Of course, they were led by Harrison Barnes, 29 points, 2 rebounds, 2 assists, 23 points, 1 rebound, 3 assists from De'Aaron Fox, 18 points, 18 rebounds, 8 assists for Domantas Sabonis. That man, 12 points, 5 rebounds, 2 assists from Keegan Murray, their star guard. Davion Mitchell, 19 points, rebound. Malik Monk contributed 2 points, 2 rebounds, 5 assists, 8 points from Tamizi Metu, and Kevin Horter, 9 points, 2 rebounds, 3 assists. As the Sacramento Kings get the dub, winning 132-119. With the win, they improved to 24-18, keeping their pace in the West in the top six. That way, you don't have to worry about the play-in. San Antonio Spurs 13-31 on the season, 7 games, 8 games below. Actually, more than that, 18 games below 500. But of course, it's anyone's game in the West, honestly. And they just got to string along some wins, and they'll get there. Of course, we'll cover talk about that a little more at the end to talk about these games. Who else we had up? Let's go here. The Portland Trailblazers play host to the Dallas Mavericks. A night in which the Portland Trailblazers were victorious, winning 140-123. Trailblazers led by Damian Lillard's correction. Yes, Damian Lillard's 40-point outing, 3 rebounds, 6 assists. But it helps when you got two players to score 20 points apiece. Nurkic, 20 points, 4 rebounds, and 4 assists. Jeremy Grant, 20 points, 4 rebounds, 1 assist. Then Hart, 8 points to contribution, 4 points apiece from Shaden Sharp and Drew Eubanks. Nasir Little, 2 points, 5 points from Gary Payton III. Anthony, correction, I stand corrected. I almost slipped. Anthony Simons also 20 points, 4 rebounds, 4 assists. So of course it was a great night for the Portland Trailblazers. The Mavericks, without star guard Luka Doncic, and were led by Spencer Dinwiddie's 28 points, 9 assists, 23 points, 16 rebounds, and 2 assists from Christian Wood, 25 points, 2 rebounds, 2 assists from Jaden Hardy. Um, Reggie Bullock, 10 points, 4 rebounds, 2 assists, 11 points, 4 rebounds from Davis Bertans. McKinley Wright, 4 points, and AJ Lawson, 5. As, like you said, the Portland Trailblazers get the dub, winning 140-123. With that, the Mavericks just 3 games above 500. The Portland Trailblazers 1 game below 500, but still anyone's bid in the West. Of course, the comment is just saying the league is a copycat league, like all leagues. Lucas started it, and it appears that everyone wants to duplicate or better. Look at Randall Brunson, correct, and how many others. There has been 92 times that a player has scored 40 points or more on a game this year. It's not even an all-star break yet. Great for the NBA. So is it great for the NBA, man? Is it really great for the NBA, do you believe? Of course, I mean, it's entertaining. Of course, it does basically does great for people in their markets because, you know what I'm saying, people are going out if you're winning, people wants to see that or want to contribute in some way. If you're winning, someone may not go out and buy your might not be show up at a game, but they go out and get your merchandise, or they contribute, or they talk about you. If you're losing, you get talked about in state. But if you're putting up, but you could be on a losing team and putting up good numbers, in which then people go out and represent you, or saying, or if those hard fans will represent the organization, even though it's not doing well. So maybe it is. I stand corrected. I'm very sure it is. But like you said before, we still have a month, a little less than a month before the All-Star game, and we already, like you said, 92 games or 92 times in which a player has put up 40 or more points. Sometimes there has been multiple players on the same team that have completed that feat. In some instances, it's more than just one player. There's more than one player that has committed that feat. Of course, we already have the one time when one player scored 70 plus points in the game. So the output is just waiting to see who's the next big scorer, or who's going to put up the next tremendous feat when it comes down to it, and which it happens consistently. Well, it's not in your opinion. That's great. I'm not in the opinion. That is great. Um, so it remains to be seen. What is the next feat? Who puts up the next feat? Do we get a person that scores 80 plus to 100? Do we see Wilt Chamberlain's 84 points on the drug screen? I hear you, Leo. Matter of fact, I got to hit you up, Leo, per what we was talking about. But yes, that's true. 84 points in the drug screening, or however it's going to go down. Someone, saying that's what it is. But I'm really interested in seeing, do you think, is it a 100-point scorer out there, someone that's just going to go ham and just going to sit up and be in that zone, and as a MRT MRT, or that's the master resiliency trainer myself. We talk about that IZOV, in which in which you get in that zone, and once you're in that zone, it's like, oh my goodness, like this person is cooking. Like Donovan Mitchell, he got in that zone. I'm very sure Vucevic got into somewhat of a zone. Kobe Bryant was in the zone when he scored 81. I don't think it was a situation of being in the zone for Wilt Chamberlain. I just think it was a dominant thing for Wilt Chamberlain to score over 100 points, because he scored at a high clip regardless. But nowadays, it takes you to be in that zone. I think it's not even just a complete dominance. It's you have to be in the zone. You have to be at that zen area, and that can put you in that. So I wonder who gets in that area next. Who is going to assert? Oh, well, actually, it's a little bit of both dominance and being in that in that zone. So I wonder who's next. Where do we see it next? Donovan Mitchell has been a high scorer for this year. Luka Doncic has put up a bunch of points. So has other players. But right now, that's where we're at. Saying Jalen Brown, and Jason Tatum as a tandem has put up a whole bunch of points. So where's the next scoring output coming from? Who is up next? We already know LeBron James is tracking, and we'll talk about in a little bit. He's on track. So who's the next scorer? Where is it going to come from? Until then, of course, we talk about these scores. Denver Nuggets faced off against the Orlando Magic, getting the W, winning 119 to 116, improving to 13-30. 30-13 on the year, as we see them continue to hold the West number one spots hostage. Orlando Magic 16-28 on the year with the loss. The Magic led by Markel Fultz, 20 points, 7 rebounds, 6 assists, 19 points, 5 rebounds, 2 assists for Franz Wagner, 18 points, 2 rebounds, 4 assists for Paolo Banchero, 17 points, 6 rebounds, 1 assist from Bo. Also contributions from Cole Anthony and Terrence Ross, as well as Jalen Suggs with 7 points apiece, 8 points from Moritz Wagner, Wendell Carter, 8.6 rebounds, 2 assists, Gary Harris, 5 rebounds, 5 points, 2 rebounds, 1 assist on the night. The Nuggets led by yet another triple-double. Nikola Jokic, 17 points, 10 rebounds, 14 assists on the night. Aaron Gordon led the field with scoring with 25 points, 8 rebounds, and 5 assists, 16 points, 4 rebounds for Michael Porter Jr., 12 points apiece from Kentavious Caldwell Pope and Bruce Brown. Jamal Murray, 18 points, 4 rebounds, 7 assists, 2 points, 3 rebounds for DeAndre Jordan, 4 points apiece from Christian Braun and Bones Highland. Zeke Naji, 9 points, 1 rebound, 1 assist in their win, of course. Denver is very efficient, it looks right now. So definitely, I don't think that having one player score that dictates the championship comment. However, we're talking about one man. So there's a difference. So I don't think one man scoring that type of output equates to championships. But if you have one man that every so often scores that on a team that is at medium average or just above average, that could equate to championships. Because if you have a time where a player is just unconscious and you can't stop that individual, and all you need, so if a player is scoring that type of at that type of clip, the only thing that's needed is for his teammates to do their job. And you know what I'm saying? So if you have a player that's scoring 70 points, right? All his teammates need to do is their job, i.e., rebound, pass efficiently, rebound, as well as score when they have the opportunity. If you have that, then that becomes efficient. That can win a championship. You gotta think all you gonna then it doesn't have to necessarily be saying in the regular season. It doesn't really count to the postseason. The regular season gets you there, but you're one of 8 teams to get there from two sides. One of 16 teams when you put it together. So or two of 16 teams to put it together. All you got to do is get there, and then once you get there, if you amount to defeat during that time frame, that's all they got to be for that year. 4 times or at least one time if win a tie series. So I get what you're saying. Of course, clearly, like one player doing that isn't. You know what I'm saying? It doesn't amount to the situations where it should be that, but I think it doesn't take away from it exactly either. Teams win, not one player. Took Michael Jordan 9 years to realize that. True that, and then now, but of course, it's a very different game from that point. Appreciate for taking the point. Agree, they all professionals do their job, and coaching matters. And that part, it all comes. So it's like you said, like the perfect storm. Or you need a perfect storm in basketball. So you have one player that's just cooking, and you know what I'm saying, in unequivocally uh, ahead of the side and doing this thing, and then you have some contributors that's helping them out. I mean, it's back like the bands back in the day. You had someone that sing, and then you had everyone else that did their job. The Temptations had a singer, and then everyone else did their job because that's why you had baritones, basses, sopranos, tenors, and altos. And if they come together harmoniously on the track, it can be a beautiful thing. And I think that's what we have. When we have power forwards, centers, guards, shooting guards, and small forwards, and everyone do their job at their position, it becomes a complete beautiful thing. Defensively, it's more difficult to defend. True that 5-1. I agree, completely agree. But then, of course, same. I guess we could go back and forth with this all day, and I find I find a way to make it happen to put it. But like you said, defensively, it's more difficult to defend five than it is one. But of course, it also what happens is when you start like if you thinking like no one else is cooking and you want to start to put your emphasis on one man, then that means someone else is open. It's a completely so it's different. Like we know in football, there's 11 people on the field, and it happened last night. The Cincinnati Bengals, in which we'll get to NFL in a little bit, but the Cincinnati Bengals, when it came to crunch time, they defended one player on the field. They put down and locked down um, um, Mark Andrews, boxed him in, and made it to where it was hard to get him the ball. He had to hustle to get the ball. But there's 11 people on the field. But what you have to keep in consideration is one of them 11 is the quarterback. The other 5 are linemen who aren't eligible to catch the ball unless they're eligible receiver. So technically, there's only 4 other people that can get the ball, in which they bracketed one of the other 2, zoned the other, and basically spied the quarterback. Completely different game than basketball because there's only 5 people on the court. Everyone is able to shoot the ball, and so if you can find somebody on the court that's open, it's going to happen. So completely different. That's where it's playing. Okay, yeah, I get it. One person carrying the team. It be like that sometimes, but no, I wouldn't say that. As a group, New Edition wasn't was good until they all broke off, and then someone next man up, and their next man up was them pulling in who they brought in. Johnny Gill. Johnny Gill went on to have a good career. You had Ralph Tresvant. His career was all right. BBD had to sit up and form together, and they produced something, of course. So it just depends. I guess it just depends. Now, it was a couple of them that probably wouldn't have made it by himself. Now that could be true, but that's a whole different story. We could get into hip hop, R&B, and all that type of stuff. I'm saying I go with the flow. Um, but like Denver is a team to definitely be reckoned with, in my opinion. The West is on notice. I don't know, however, if Denver could beat a Boston or a Milwaukee, but they are definitely taking care of business when it comes to the Western corridor of the NBA. Other games, of course, yesterday, still without Kevin Durant, isn't looking too good for the Brooklyn Nets, as they also were without Ben Simmons, as he was a late scratch due to back soreness and playing. Had an MRI, and the MRI revealed that he was basically that he needed to sit out. With that, of course, like I said, we already know um, for the time being. Kyrie Irving came on and stated that he don't think they're going to be at a complete loss without Kevin Durant. He believes firmly that they can win. However, they couldn't get the W last night, a little overmatched by the Oklahoma City Thunder, as they fall to the Thunder 112 to 102. With the loss, they're still good, 27-15, not shabby, of course. The Oklahoma City Thunder putting together wins with the likely motley crew, 21-23 on the year with the W. The Nets, led by Seth Curry's 23 points, 2 rebounds, 1 assist, 17 points, 13 rebounds from Nick Claxton, 11 points, 10 rebounds from Royce O'Neal. Um, all right, Kyrie Irving, 15.6 rebounds, 6 assists. Joe Harris, 8 points, 5 rebounds, 1 assist, 6 points, 1 rebound from Patty Mills. TJ Warren, 9 points, 3 rebounds, 1 assist. Edmund Sumner, 4 points, 2 rebounds, 3 assists. And Markieff Morris, 4 points, 2 rebounds, and 1 assist on the night. The Thunder, in all their winning efforts, 28 points apiece from Josh Giddey and Shea Gillis Alexander. Definitely without doubt, Shea should be an all-star this year, in my opinion. Hopefully the coaches select him to get on because the fans aren't. Well, in case Josh Giddey, 28 points, 9 rebounds, 9 assists. Shea, same score, 7 points and 1 assist to go, 7 rebounds and 1 assist to go along with that. 22 points, 5 rebounds, 2 assists from Lou Dort. Jalen Williams, 1 rebound, 1.6 rebounds, 3 assists, 6.6 rebounds, 3 assists from Darius Baisley. Lindy Waters contributed with 5 points, as Aaron Wiggins. Isaiah Joe, 9 points, 3 rebounds, 3 assists. And lastly, Kendrick Williams with 2 points, 4 rebounds, and 1 assist on their winning night for the Thunder, as they chase down the number, they're under 500, looking to continue to do damage in the West, as it's wide open. No one is just open, just blowing the doors off the West. Plenty of basketball still left to play there to determine who it would be. You're correct. Well, let's see. Um, Oh yes, definitely, and it's not going. And that's where it becomes a different. I agree, completely agree with you, Con man. At that point, pressure forms. You have people that's not contributing. You start. It starts to become underlying thing, a situation to where you have one person that's scoring and doing all he can, but yet his brethren aren't doing it or they're not effective in it, and then now it becomes a whole different situation, and it's like, and then that starts to become because body language just starts to take over. You start thinking about within you got to do it. You're exerting all the energy on both ends of the court, or you're exerting energy on one end of the court and not getting the same type of energy on the other end, or giving the same type of energy on the other end, and it starts to be a cascading effect. So I completely agree with you, Con, man. Yes, sir. Leo likes his brother in that situation, but they do this for a living. They should settle in and do their job. So that was a conversation. That was one of the topics, Leo, in which how the not LeBron, how Kevin Durant talked about it's so unfair for fans to expect the same type of output day in and day out. He talked about how just like anyone else, players, basketball players, or athletes in general get tired, and it's unfair for it to be an expectation that they're supposed to do that same thing day in and day out. It's like the fans are spoiled, basically, for saying that all they have to do is do their job because they get paid. However, you are correct, Leo. They get paid handsomely for that, and I guess it remains to be seen what's going on. But in any case, last night the Los Angeles Lakers faced off against the Philadelphia 76ers, in which yet another game of controversy was enthralled into the Lakers season. As we know, just a couple of nights ago, they were, I think it was against Mavericks, where they talked about a non-call basically cost the Lakers a game. In this case, it was the same rhetoric, but in this case, I don't see it was too far off, as Russell Westbrook, with 3 seconds on the clock, went to take a shot in which, if you check the replay and things of that sort, Joel Embiid held his hand down to where he couldn't get the shot off. He couldn't gather his arm to get the shot off. In which the Lakers lose to the 76ers at the score of 113 to 112. Crafty veterans do crafty things. Joel Embiid got away with it. With the loss, it drops the Lakers to 19-24 in the season, just 5 games below 500. The 76ers improved to 27-16. The Lakers are, of course, looking for help. If you hadn't heard, they worked out DeMarcus Cousins and Senator Leonard in efforts to see what it looks like. They currently have one player that is holding the 15th spot on the roster, in which he's on his second 10-day contract. However, after this contract, in which is due to end, or I think it just ended, the Lakers, I think they have an opportunity to give him another contract, and then after that, he will have to be signed on the roster. So, of course, decisions to be made, or do they go ahead and try out one of the even Leonard or Cousins to bring them in, as they worked them both out, and they said they both look good. Of course, we need help from the big man perspective, as Anthony Davis is still out. For the game, James Harden led, Joel Embiid led the Philadelphia 76ers with 35 points, 11 rebounds, and 4 assists. James Harden, double-double, 24.7 rebounds, and 13 assists on the night. 16 points, 5 rebounds, 1 assist from Tyrese Maxey. 15 points, 5 rebounds, and 3 assists from Tobias Harris. 22 points apiece from Montrezl Harrell and Matisse Thybulle. 8 points apiece from Niang and Shake Milton, and 3 points from PJ Tucker. For the Lakers, led by Anthony Davis, Mr. Class. I know, Leo. I know it's unfortunate. LeBron James, 35 points, 8 rebounds, 10 assists on the night. Of course, more on that shortly. Russell Westbrook, a triple-double, 20 points, 14 rebounds, 11 assists off the bench, 13 points, 4 rebounds for Troy Brown Jr., 10 points from Thomas Bryant with 3 rebounds, Juan Toscano Anderson, 6 points, 4 rebounds, and 1 assist. Dennis Schroeder contributed 8 points and 3 assists. Gabriel, 14 points and 1 rebound. Kendrick Nunn, 4 points, 2 rebounds, and 2 points, 2 assists for Max Christie. Yeah, they're not going to call every play. But I mean, some plays need to be called. If you, in that moment, Anthony, if he's holding his hand down when he's trying to get up for a last second shot, that's egregious if they let that go or if they miss that. However, they missed that. But everyone, you know, what I'm saying no one's perfect. Only one person was perfect. Uh, so Russell, like LeBron, with the 35-point out in LeBron passes, becomes the second player in NBA history to amount 38,000 points or more. Shrikos Davis, that's what they call him. Oh my goodness. Unfortunate, so unfortunate, especially when he was clicking. But yes, LeBron, 38,000 points. Second player in NBA history to score 38,000 points. Um, he's coming in. He's walking it in. He's walking down that record. So we should see that falling anytime soon. I know the expectation was that it was going to fall during the course of the uh, in February. We're not too far from February. It was the so we'll see. We will see. Like I said, February 4th, they play the Pelicans. I might have to see what I can do to get some tickets to go to that game. See if it I can see greatness happen. Of course, it'd be from the nosebleeds. Like what Anthony was saying earlier, it'd be so far from the floor. I will be. Uh, where else we're at? Hold on one second. Oh, got a little more time. So for me to stay on this topic. Oh, is it thing on? So of course, like I was talking about earlier, when you look at it for a standpoint, if the what ifs. So what if the season was starting right now? Of course, we have Boston Celtics as the number one seed in the East, followed by the Brooklyn Nets. Currently, the Celtics have a 4-game advantage over the Nets. Milwaukee will be the third seed at 4, would be the Philadelphia 76ers. The fifth seed, the Cleveland Cavaliers. Number 6 would be the New York Knicks. So how interesting is that when you think about Jalen Brunson and him going over into the to the New York Knicks for off season has put them to where currently they're a 6-seeded team to finish out the season. Of course, the last 4 teams that would be going into the play, if that is the case right now, the Miami Heat at the 7th seed, the Indiana Pacers come in at 8, and number 9, the Atlanta Hawks and the and the Chicago Bulls fall in at the 10th seed. Currently, the 10th seed is 12 games out or behind the Boston Celtics. Of course, Toronto Raptors from last year's play-in will be out, and the Charlotte Hornets, who are currently 21 games behind, will be out as well. What's good, Leslie? Glad to see you formation this morning, brother. I'm very sure you're gonna have something to say about Tampa Bay in a couple of minutes. We finna get to NFL for a second in a matter of seconds. Additionally, from the West, of course, the Denver Nuggets lead the West 30-13 at this point, but they only have a half game lead over the second ranked team, which is the Memphis Grizzlies, as they are the number 2 seed. The New Orleans Pelicans coming at with the 4 games behind at the 3 seed. Sacramento at 4 at the 5. The Dallas Mavericks, the Los Angeles Clippers fall in at 6, being 8 games back from the top seeded Denver Nuggets. Finishing out the last 4 in the what would be considered the play-in. Timberwolves at number 7, the Golden State Warriors at number 8, at 9, the Portland Trailblazers and the Utah Jazz at 10, as they are 9.5 games back from the Denver Nuggets. The last team in the West, 20 games back from the Denver Nuggets, the Houston Rockets. LA, 11 games back from them. However, they are only 8.5 games back. I mean, a correction. They're only 1.5 games back from the Utah Jazz, or 2.5 games back from Minnesota. So still in striking distance when it comes down to getting into at least the play-in, or even at this point 3 games back from the Clippers, the Clippers and the 6th seed. So It's not far, and like we was talking about the other day, they're coming. And once they get their people back, they coming. It looks like Jonathan Isaac might actually play before this year is over. Of course, that's a good thing. Out 2.5 years, but he be getting them checks. But he's probably not going to be able to, once the contract expires, he's probably going to be it. Or they might keep him if they say he has a promise. So, yes, definitely that indeed. Where are we at? Hold on. Let me close this. Getting to our next topic, subject, the games over the course of the weekend. The NF correction. Let me go back. Did I close it out? I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. Let me see something. See what games we got going on in the NBA before I go into the NFL topics. Of course, for games tonight, to look forward to a slate of 9 games. I'm sorry. The Boston Celtics will be hosted by the Charlotte Hornets. The Milwaukee Bucks will be hosting the Indiana Pacers. The Washington Wizards are due to host the Warriors as they continue their road trip part of the season, another part of the road trip. They haven't been the best when they're on the road, losing last night and now have a back-to-back tonight. The Toronto Raptors will be hosted by the New York Knicks. The Cleveland Cavaliers host the New Orleans Pelicans. The Atlanta Hawks to host the Miami Heat today. Timberwolves and the Jazz face off. The Suns and the Grizzlies, and last but not least, the Los Angeles Lakers will host the Houston Rockets. Maybe that's an opportunity for them to get back in the win column. We will see, or will Houston and the youth movement take care of business. Of course, more of that we'll be talking about tomorrow. So hopefully, see some fireworks. Now, let me continue to slide on. As we was just talking about, for the games yesterday, definitely some interesting games. Of course, leading off with the first game that happened. Wait. Let me see something real quick. We're not going to even start off with the first game that happened. We're just going to talk. We're just going to talk about it. We're just going to talk about it. Of course, a lot of conversation onto why and how the Dolphins got into the situation that they were in. First and foremost, hats off to Skylar Thompson, as he gave it all he possibly could. When let's not even hold you. I just knew it was going to be a run through for the for the Buffalo Bills. I just think they was going to go in and romp, take care of business, and get up out of there. But the Dolphins had another thing coming. For whatever reasons, the Dolphins wide receivers couldn't hold on, couldn't catch anything, did not that much in helping out Skylar Thompson, but he put up a fight. They put up the fight. The squad put up a fight, in which, of course, we all know the end state was the Buffalo Bills get the W, winning 34-31 over the Miami Dolphins. With the W, the Dolphins in a losing effort. Skylar Thompson, the rookie third string quarterback, 18 for 45, 220 yards passing, 1 touchdown, 2 interceptions. From a rushing aspect, Jeffrey Wilson, 10 carries for 23 yards and a touchdown. Tyreek Hill, 2 carries for 5 yards. Jalen Waddle, 1 for 8. Salvon Ahmed, 5 for 3. And Skylar Thompson, 2 carries for 1 for 3 yards. Tyreek Hill, 7 receptions, 69 yards. Salvon Ahmed, 3 receptions, 45. Jalen Waddle, 3 for 44. Mike Gesicki 2 for 15 with that lone touchdown. Durham Smith was 1 for 20, 1 for 13. Jeffrey Wilson and Cedric Wilson 1 for 14. For the Bills, Josh Allen 23 for 39, 352 yards passing, 3 touchdowns, 2 interceptions. The appeal toted by Devin Singletary and James Cook also 10 carries, 48 yards for Singletary, 12 carries, 39 yards for Cook, as well as a touchdown. Of course, Josh Allen, usually known for his ability to move outside the pocket and down the field, 4 carries for 20 yards yesterday. Stephon Diggs, 7 receptions, 114 yards. Gabe Davis doing what he does, 6 receptions for 113 yards and a touchdown. Cole Beasley back in the fold, 2 receptions, 35 yards and a touchdown. And Dawson Knox, 3 receptions, 20 yards and a touchdown. Also, Naheem Hines, 1 for 7 on the day, and Quentin Morris pulled in 1 reception for 12 yards as well. Khalil Shakir, 3 receptions for 51 yards, in which the Dolphins fall to the Buffalo Bills 34-31 to be eliminated from the playoffs. Now they have to go and sit back. Of course, we know Tua Tagovailoa did not play. The expectation, however, is that he will be back for the 2023 season, in which he is expected to be the starter. Tough sledding for him as they were clicking on all cylinders. They actually had a pretty good team. It looked for a second like they were going to pull off the upset, but insight is it didn't happen for them. But they get to go back and sit and wait and think about it, and come back and fight another year. However, on the opposite side of the spectrum, where you talk about a team that looked like or should have had the game, let's talk about the loss from the Minnesota Vikings. As we all know, the Minnesota Vikings went 13-3 in the regular season, in which we talked about before. Those records don't mean diddly squat when you get to the playoffs, because after that it's one and done. All that record does is get you in, but it doesn't get you any further unless you continue to keep the pace with the winning. In which, of course, Kirk Cousins, quarterback for the Minnesota Vikings, said it's a tough loss. It's really the toughest one when given all the greatness that was exuded over the course of the year. It just wasn't going to happen. The New York Giants had their number, of course, coming down to needing to get a first down on a 4th and 8. Kirk Cousins wasn't able to, had to check down to TJ Hawkinson on the play, in which came up about 3 yards short. Unfortunate situation when you're being chased or you have pressure that is in your face. It was just one of those things. Unfortunate for the Minnesota Vikings. Or it's back to my Minnesota Vikings, as they fall 31-24 to the New York Giants. New York Football Giants, as it is. Daniel Jones, 24 for 35, 301 yards passing, 2 touchdowns, not a single interception. He rushed 17 carries for 78 yards, doing his magic. But Saquon Barkley, 9 carries for 53 yards, 2 touchdowns on the day. Matt Breida, 3 for 8, and Darius Slay had 1 carry for 3 yards. Isaiah Hudgens, who Isaiah Hudgens, 8 receptions, 105 yards, 1 touchdown. Daniel Bellinger, 2 receptions, 17 yards and a touchdown. Darius Slay, 4 receptions, 88 yards receiving. Saquon Barkley, 5 receptions, 56 yards. Richie James, 4 for 31. It was playing, what's up, Snook? Cornelius, or CC as he called it, was playing Kirk Cousins dumb. Don't throw a pass short of the sticks on 4th with the season on the line. So it's a good thing you said that. I'm glad you, what's up, Snook? Glad to have information with us this morning. So let's put a Pinterest in that. I won't come back to that. I hope you stay tuned in, Snook, so you can sit up and expound on what it was I was going to ask to say when it comes down to that. Because I have certain things in which that I want to go through these and come back to it, because of some other games that had stuff like that going on. So I'm going to come back to that. So I'm going to start that so we can come back to that. Of course, like I said, Daniel Jones did damage. They all did damage, and saying Kirk Cousins uh, didn't do for the most part, and which is the Reddick, in which I'm definitely on. Some other things I want to talk about that correlate with that. Um, in an unfortunate situation, of course, I ain't gonna say unfortunate because I mean they got a chance to play the game. Of course, the Cincinnati Bengals and Baltimore Ravens faced off, of course, last night. Again, the late game, the prime time game last night, in which the Ravens just came up a bit short. That was the game in which I was talking about towards the last couple of minutes of the game. On offense for the Ravens, the Bengals put out a defense that basically held Mark Andrews, their leading scorer, their go-to, in contempt, and made Like Tyler Huntley tried to beat them with his legs. Tyler Huntley, 17 for 29, 226 yards passing, 2 touchdowns and 1 interception. Um, but it wasn't enough. J.K. Dobbins, 13 carries for 62 yards. Tyler Huntley was 9 for 54. Gus Edwards, 12 for 39. And Mark Andrews had 1 carry. Mark Andrews, 5 receptions for 73 yards. Demarcus Robinson, 2 for 49 with a touchdown. J.K. Dobbins, 4 receptions for 43 yards with a touchdown. 1 reception apiece from Sammy Watkins and Gus Edwards, 13 yards for Edwards, 12 for Watkins. Justin Hill, 2 for 14 yards. And Josh Oliver, 2 for 26. In a situation that we're basically, hold up, let me get to Cincinnati first. Joe Burrow, 23 for 32, 209, and a touchdown. Joe Mixon, 11 carries for 39 yards. Joe Burrow, 5 carries for 9 yards with a touchdown. Samaje Perine carried 2 times for 33 yards with a touchdown. Jamar Chase, 9 receptions, 84 yards receiving, 1 touchdown on the night. Hayden Hurst was 4 for 45. T. Higgins, 4 for 37. Tyler Boyd, 3 receptions for 26 yards. And lastly, Joe Mixon, 3 receptions for 17 yards, which was enough to just barely get them the win. As the play really digging in there, because the play that really turned the tide was, which is a bunch of things that come out of this as I was watching that game. One and foremost, of course, J.K. Dobbins, um, running back for the Baltimore Ravens, basically said that it should have been him on the fumble. As if you don't know the fumble, what you're talking about, the not wide receiver, quarterback Tyler Huntley got the call on third down where he was asked to on a quarterback sneak. He tried to go over the top. He was stuffed going over the top, in which a linebacker met him and punched the ball out as he tried to reach the ball over the plane. Punched the ball out. It rolled out down the back of the huddle, waiting for Kendrick in the wait, in which he got the fumble, caught the fumble, and returned the ball, the returned it for what was I believe, 98-yard fumble recovery and turn. Uh, Andrews gave it all he could to run him down, which he actually did run him down. It's just he had a couple of blockers in front of him, in which he tried to get around. Finally, he tried to trip one up, and to no avail. And it was returned, in which that was the final score, in which led to that. Of course, both teams had the opportunity to extend that score. It just didn't happen. So, like I said, a bunch of things. One, yes, maybe J.K. Dobbins, running back, could have been the man that could have toted the ball to get in there, or even to be the one to try to jump to get over the huddle and get into the end zone. Additionally, 3 plays before that, Tyler Huntley ran a play where he scrambled around the left side corner, got to the outside, and the play that put them in the red zone to be able to, for that play, he went out of bounds with the ball in his left hand. When he went out of bounds, he hit the pylon with his right hand. Simple as such. He could have scored if he had the ball in the right hand. But that wasn't the case, of course. Maybe he couldn't get it around in time, or maybe he didn't even think about it. But I just think of the what ifs, and that what ifs could have been he could have scored, and that would have put the pressure on for Cincinnati to go down and score. Because at that point, Cincinnati would have been down by the touchdown, or whichever was a touchdown that they lost. The turnaround with the defensive effort, and now the Bengals will be going on to play in the next round. We'll cover the next round in a second. So you had that. Who else we had yesterday? Blah blah blah. So we had the Bills get the dub. We had the Giants pull out the W. We had the Bengals pull out the W. Let's go here first. Like any other time, I would go with my beloved 49ers as last, as we say, the best for last. But nah, let's go here because it was something else that was very, 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 very tantalizing, in which it got, and then we'll get back to CC's comment and some thought I had. San Francisco 49ers first in the shoot in the games to be played over the course of the weekend for the playoffs. Uh, and they faced off against the Seattle Seahawks. So as I watched this game, I caught glimpses of this game. I was really, I ain't gonna say in my feelings. Of course, I know Slick was talking. I usually would have responded to some of his posts, but I just wasn't there yet. Of course, I was doing some other stuff too here and there. So the Seattle Seahawks at halftime was up on San Francisco by the score of 16-17. The first quarter, San Francisco was outscoring them by 10 points, had a 10-0 lead in the first quarter. The Seattle Seahawks come roaring back, scoring 17 unanswered points scoring 17 straight in the second quarter. San Francisco was only able to answer with 6 points, so of course we do the math, that don't add up. Seattle was up by 1 point in the second half, only at the end of the first half, which of course they went off. They was joyful, happy, you know what I'm saying, everything. Bad break for the Ravens. Seahawks played the solid 30-minute game. So, well, yeah, they did. They played a solid first half, right? Did exactly what they needed to do. However, the second half, San Francisco went to work scoring. I ain't gonna say unwillingly because Seattle did get 6 points in the fourth quarter. San Francisco did outscore them 7-0 in the third, and then it added additional 8 points in the second. In the fourth, which gave them the 41-23 victory over the Seattle Seahawks for the third win this year. Geno Smith 25 for 35, 253 yards, 2 touchdowns, and 1 interception. Not bad. Kenneth Walker the third, 15 carries for 63 yards with a touchdown. Geno Smith, 4 carries for 28 yards, and DJ Dallas, 6 carries for 13 yards. Receiving, DK Metcalf, 10 receptions for 136 yards with 2 TDs. Tyler Lockett, 6 for 39. K. Johnson, 3 receptions for 39 yards. Colby Parkinson, 3 receptions for 14 yards on the night. And then, of course, Kenneth Walker, Derek Young, as well as Noah Fant, 1 reception and 11 yards apiece. Kenneth Walker with 3 yards. But it wasn't enough for Brock Purdy and the 49ers. Brock Purdy, 18 carries, 18 for 30 passing, 332 yards, 3 touchdowns, no interceptions. Nice and efficient. Christian McCaffrey, 15 carries for 119 yards. Deebo Samuel, 3 carries for 32 yards. Brock Purdy, 4 carries himself for 16 yards and a touchdown. Elijah Mitchell, 9 carries for 2 yards. And Jordan Mason, 2 carries for 12 yards. Of course, Deebo Samuel, 6 receptions, 133 yards, 1 touchdown. Bryden Ayuk doing heavy lifting, 3 carries, 3 catches for 73 yards. Jawan Jennings, 2 for 41. George Kittle, 2 for 37. Christian McCaffrey, 2 catches for 70 yards and a touchdown. Elijah Mitchell, 2 catches for 25 yards and a touchdown. Kyle Juszczyk was 1 carry for 6 yards. And along with that vaulted Carolina San Francisco defense, taking care of business, just like Anthony Price said, that's what defense is important. That's the importance of defense. And of course, CC with the Bosa defense for player of the year, and which we've been saying probably for about 2 or 3 weeks now, or a little further, that Nick Bosa, probably the player of the year, defensive player of the year, just as Micah Parsons falls off in a sense. 49ers with the win go on and currently wait for the winner from tonight's game, as that the same mentioned Michael Parsons and the Dallas Cowboys, Dak Prescott and crew will face off against Tom Brady and the Tampa Bay Buccaneers tonight to determine who will travel to San Francisco to play against the 49ers or as a home field advantage. Before we get into that and the matchups over the coming up, of course, there is one other game to which we need to talk about, to where Los Angeles, I would say my home, but my brethren's city, LA Chargers, two teams holding down, two teams for the NFL. The Chargers, y'all had one job, just one job. Up 27-0 at one point. All you had to do, even if you let them score a little, all you had to do was hold the line. Hold the line is all you had to do, in which it wasn't possible. A complete and utter debacle. One's team will greater than the other is what we seen Saturday night. The Los Angeles Chargers, fifth-ranked Los Angeles Chargers against the seventh-ranked seeded Jacksonville Jaguars, in which that part they definitely, well, I ain't gonna say it would have been advantageous for them to have Mike Williams, because he is a hell of a wide receiver, underrated in my opinion. Anthony Cornelius already called him for the firing of Staley. Should be fired. Ran the ball 7 times in the second half. Jacksonville down 27-0 at some point in the second quarter, in which they ended this quarter with a score and then just rattle off 17 consecutive points, 24 consecutive points. In any case, Justin Herbert for the Los Angeles Chargers, 25 for 43, 273 yards, 1 touchdown. Austin Eckler, 13 carries for 35 yards and 2 touchdowns. Josh Kelly, 7 carries for 20 yards. Justin Herbert, 3 carries for 12 yards himself. Gerald Everett, the tight end for the Chargers, 6 receptions, 109 yards, 1 touchdown. Keenan Allen, their star receiver, 6 receptions, 61 yards. Josh Palmer, 2 receptions, 31 yards. Donald Parham, 4 receptions for 23 yards. DeAndre Carter, 2 for 17. Eckler, 2 for 8. And Josh Kelly, 1 for 8. Clicking. Had it, and lost it for the Jaguars. Trevor Lawrence, 28 for 47. I seen where they how they meshed the two together. 28 for 47, 288 yards, 4 interceptions. So let's speak about this. 4 interceptions in the first half had Trevor Lawrence mindset. But the mindset that you would have thought wasn't a mindset which they had supposedly. Basically said he just basically shook it off. And evidently it must have been true, because he came back in the second half and threw 4 touchdowns. It is seldomly not that type of party that you have 4 turnovers in a game, being behind in a game, and you can come back and win said game. Travis Etienne Jr., 20 carries, 109 yards rushing. I'm very sure Jennings, that is just like an hour and a half from here where I am, was going ballistic as their one of their own had a exquisite showing, 109 yards rushing, like I said, in his first playoff game. Trevor Lawrence, 1 for 8 rushing. He said for thought Asante Samuel was a Jag. Oh my goodness. Even Evan Ingram, 7 receptions, 93 yards, 1 touchdown. Christian Kirk, 8 receptions, 78 yards, 1 touchdown. Zay Jones, 8 receptions, 74 yards receiving, 1 touchdown. Marvin Jones, 3 receptions, 29 yards receiving, 1 touchdown. Travis Etienne, 1 reception for 12 yards, and Jamal Agnew, 1 for 2 yards, in which the Jaguars walked it back in, held them scoreless in the fourth quarter to score 11 points on their own. And that was the ball game, folks. The Los Angeles Chargers fall to the Jacksonville Jaguars by the score of 30 to 31. What else can you say? I'm very sure it was a long flight home. Duval. I'm very sure it was a chant all night long. Of course, the Chargers had a better record. Jacksonville was the home team due to the fact that they won their division title. I put the NFL on notice. Does Jacksonville have more in the tank? Because with that win, the Jaguars will be traveling to Kansas City next week to take on the Kansas City Chiefs. So with all the games being played, of course, one game still has to be played tonight, 7:15 East Central Standard Time. Again, that'll be the Dallas Cowboys and the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. With that being said, do the Jaguars have more in the tank? As they will be facing off on Saturday, 3 p.m. Central Standard Time, against the Jacksonville Jaguars. Against the Kansas City Chiefs. Number one ranked Kansas City Chiefs. Trevor Lawrence versus Patrick Mahomes. The other game on Saturday, the New York Giants will face off for the third time, 3 times a charm. Will face off against the Philadelphia Eagles. As we know, they played against the Eagles the night before the last game of the season, which will afford the Eagles an opportunity to get into the playoffs as the number one seed. But again, in that game, which is now probably looking like a smart gesture, they didn't play their starters. They rested them, and the starters came out. Daniel Jones did good over the course of the weekend. Now he comes back, going to Philadelphia, 7:15 game. And they face off against the Eagles. Can they take care of business against the Eagles? Can they pull yet up another upset? Do we see both number one seeds fall on Saturday? It remains to be seen. The Bengals and the Bills run it back for another second time this week. As we all know, the first game didn't get finished due to the unfortunate situation that happened with Damar Hamlin. So now they run it back. As we know, the Bengals were up at the time which the game was stopped. Now they get a chance to finish the game. They make it Daniel Jones run. That what they've always said. Daniel had the ability to run, so I don't know. It's probably not that bad. It's always good to have that ability, I think, and so they use it to their advantage. Hopefully, they can use it to their advantage to rival that of what Jalen Hurts does, and there's just be a bunch of running quarterbacks. With the only unfortunate thing is they lack at the receiver position, and that's where the Eagles are strongest, especially when you fact that they have a good defense as well. But we'll see if New York is able to pull it off. Of course, like I said, the Bengals running it back again with the Bills uh, in Buffalo. So we'll see how that goes. And last, of course, the 49ers will host the winner of the of tonight's NFC game, the Cowboys and the Buccaneers. I don't know who I would rather see more. Would I rather see the Cowboys, or would I rather see Tampa Bay, Tom in Tampa? In any case, it's going to go down on Sunday, 5:30, the prime time game, I guess. The 49ers and the winner of the Tampa Bay and Cowboys game tonight. Of course, you know me, Bishop, and Ron continue with our picks, in which currently they're both up by 4 picks and 3 picks over myself. However, I did pick Dallas to win the game tonight, as they picked Tampa Bay. So with a win tonight, we'll be tied 4 wins apiece, and 2 losses. With a Tampa Bay win, they can go move ahead 4-2, and I fall back. Correction, they can move ahead 5-1, and I fall back to 2 games behind at 3-3. So it remains to be seen, of course, with that. Anthony Price says Cincinnati and Buffalo, who didn't see that coming. You think the writers, the NFL scripters, writers are in a bag, Anthony? So I want to go back to what Cornelius was saying, right? This when he said it was plain that Kirk Cousins is dumb. They don't throw a pass short of the sticks in the fourth session on the line, in the fourth with the game on the line, with the season on the line. So I agree with you to an extent, Cornelius. One thing in which I think is what we kind of get lost in translation on, because I tend to do it sometimes and to bring myself back to reality or put it in perspective. Like I said, I've been saying this year, put it in perspective. He was being pressured. I'm very sure the last thing he wanted to do was throw it there. So I think what we have in position in with that thought is, do I force the ball downfield into a potential interception? Because what we have to keep in mind is Justin Jefferson was on lockdown. He got 20 yards in the first half, 20 yards in the second half. They had his number. So he was on lockdown status. So I think, do I push the ball into coverage? I can't extend the play. I wanted to get the ball out. So I think the idea of him throwing it to Hawkinson, who was the only player, and putting it on Hawkinson, being able to possibly pick up the first down, I don't think it was a bad play. Like, on the flip side of it, that's not ideal because, like you said, you want to get it as far down as you can. But I don't know if anyone else was open. Hence the reason, and he was being pressured. Hence the reason why he checked down to Hawkinson. It just didn't work for him. Anthony said he only saw Jefferson and Cook and what he tried to get it to, and that could have been just who he wanted to rely on that time frame. But it's definitely one of those situations. And so, but now this is where I come in. This is where I really have a quarrel with some of the things that be going on, right? So, what I am tired of hearing and seeing is when players, especially on defense, is when they're having during the course of the game, or especially at the end of the game, where they be like, "Oh, so and so broke up the play," and then they run the replay, and you see, no, they didn't break up the play. He went for the ball, clearly whiffed or missed the ball, and the wide receiver didn't make the catch. Give credit where credit is due. I'm not to say that it'll always be a situation to where the person gets the ball or knocks over the ball, or saying may have has something to do with the fact of excuse me. I'm so sorry. Excuse me. So they have something to do with the fact that the player went after the ball and maybe didn't get it, and then cause it could have maybe been a situation where he broke up the concentration, possibly. But a lot of times it's just, which it might be that, but is that considered a breakup if you cause the player to miss the ball because you made them think that the trajectory of the ball was going to go somewhere else, even though you didn't touch the ball or anything like that? Is that the credit of a breaking up a play? And that's what you've seen a lot of that over the court on the night, especially when uh, I think when they was driving down. Who was that driving? When Buffalo was driving, and they threw the ball to just Gesicki on that last on the last play, because they talked about the same thing about them throwing the ball, checking the ball down to just Gesicki, in which the play was broken up. But when you were seeing the replay for one, Gesicki the play wasn't touched by the defender. It was just thrown, and Gesicki couldn't make a play on the ball. On the opposite side of the spectrum, just like Cornelius is talking about with the Kirk Cousins check down, they were talking about during the Miami game that Skylar Thompson could have got the ball to Tyreek Hill as he was in the as he was in as he was in he was got into the passing window, but the linebacker or the defensive lineman beat the center around and forced Skylar Thompson out the pocket to where his next check down was that in Gesicki. Now he could have threw the ball still, But of course, he wouldn't have been planted. His feet wouldn't have been planted, and there was a safety that was bearing him down. So he needed more time to be able to make that pass, in which he wasn't able to. So he checked. He went to his progression and got out the pocket and tried his best to get it to Kaseki, who actually had a good chance of making the catch. Additionally, if you look at the Buffalo Bills game and the Cincinnati game, technically we should have went. It should have been a game of overtime, unless Baltimore would have went ahead and went for it on fourth down. Because who's number three? I didn't even pull up his name. Uh, who is number three for the Baltimore Ravens? Let me see. Excuse me. Uh, Let me see if I can. Ravens number three. Ravens depth chart. 1 second. Let me get this name for you. Was that? No, I don't think it was Isabella. Let me see. No, it wasn't Isabella. Obviously, it was a player who hadn't played that much. Who was it? James Prochet the second. James Prochet had an opportunity. That part, you are so true. That is so true, Cornelius. That they better type. But James Prochet the second actually had a chance to be a hero. I don't know what he was even standing ready to for. I don't know what he was looking for. Evidently, tip drills aren't practice. Hail Marys aren't practice. He had an opportunity to be a hero in the back of the end zone, in the back of the huddle, to be able to get the touchdown off of Ricochet, and he was in such a bad position. Only thing he was able to do was get a finger or a hand on the ball, as he could have got the touchdown. That would have sent potentially the game into overtime, extended the opportunity for the Ravens to be victorious, or even put them in position where they could have gone ahead and went for two to win the game. James Prochet. Got to do better, my brother. Got to do better, my brother. Anthony Price was going off from that game. Ray was, I was saying he had more. I mean, I understand that, but Huntley didn't do bad. It's just saying certain things that aren't conducive to him as the starter. He was in a situation to where, I mean, again, the lights could have been a little too bright for him. It could have been that type of situation. So it's all kinds of things that can go on that. A lot of mistakes were made in the process of the whole situation. So not a bad game. It's just unfortunate. Now, of course, Lamar Jackson gets the opportunity to rest and recover fully from his PCL, and be back next year. Maybe, hopefully, the Ravens would have done some things in the offseason that would attest to them bringing in some talent to be able to help Lamar, wide receiver. Same thing for what probably is going to be the undoing for Philadelphia wide receivers. Hopefully is out there. Maybe their teams will put forth the efforts to get them help in those positions. Like CC said, the Bills better tighten up, in which they really should. Uh, but I don't know. Do you see? It's probably going to be a good game. I see a good game coming up for the Bills and the Cincinnati Bengals. Come next week, I think it's going to be a good game. I think it's going to be a good game. think we're going to see a good one. I don't think it's going to be a blowout, but definitely Bills better tighten up because you allow Burrow to do his thing, and he's going to go ahead, and that's exactly what he's going to do. But I'm definitely looking to see, do we see an upset between the number ones? Can or will Jacksonville take care of business over the Kansas City Chiefs? Can or will the New York Giants be able to knock off their divisional rival the third time around, as they've already lost to them twice in the year? We'll see. I'm trying to check for it. What's y'all takes on tonight? Of course, like I said, I have the Cowboys winning tonight. My brothers Bishop and Ron are looking forward to Tampa Bay getting the W. What's y'all's expectation? Who do y'all think Marcus New Broccoli was key and they still couldn't stop him? It happened like that sometimes, Anthony. It be like that sometimes, bruh. So who's y'all takes for tonight? Who y'all got? Tampa Bay, Dallas. Oh, that's a take of the already. CC Giants going to beat the Philadelphia Eagles. I don't put it past the way they run. Like I said, Saquon to be back, Daniels to be back. They almost lost to him without either one of them. So it could be a forethought to think that they're going to take care of him, or maybe not. It could just be business as usual. They did have them play them when they were both healthy in the first game, which they played, which Philadelphia got the W. Okay, Cornelius rocking with his squad. The Cowboys, cowboy up. He said it better not be a close game. It remains to be seen. Will it be a good close game? How would it go? How would it go down? Will Tom continue to use his savviness and his ability to win games? Will we continue to see that, or is defense going to be a problem? Anthony Price, Tampa Bay going to win by 2. Is that 2 points or 2 touchdowns, Anthony? What are you talking about? 2 points or 2 touchdowns? So we'll see that action tonight. So of course, like I said, this Martha happy 2 points. Okay, 2 points. All right, I got you, Anthony. That's what's up. So of course, you know, what I'm saying that's my show for today. I was ended a little early so I could get enjoy the festivities or enjoy the day, being a government worker, being able to have the day off, celebrate a great individual. Of course, you know, to be here, right back here tomorrow morning, 9:00, in which we were talking about this game. We'll talk about some of the games from the NBA and go a little more in depth. We should have, I think, I have somebody on from in reference to the military basketball community to talk about the tournaments over the course of the weekend. Then, of course, with the tournaments happened over the course of the weekend, we should see a new military basketball association ranking, top 10 ranking, as well as the latest in the national military basketball tournament ranking. As we know, national military basketball ranking puts out something so the teams can have an ideal of where they are at the for the season for their invites to the nationals in March. So that's going to be a great thing to see. So I look forward to seeing those rankings, and I look forward to seeing y'all tomorrow. So of course, like I said, be blessed, enjoy your day. Don't forget the reason for the celebration of today, and for those that have the opportunity to be off, what's going on. So it's your boy Trey, and I'm out. Peace. Enjoy your day.